From the Roblox stores, death from the Puss in Boots, there are many different Minecraft mobs that are super scary. For this video, I'm going to be going over the scariest mobs to ever exist in Minecraft Bedrock Edition, so let's jump right in. The next mod that I'm about to show you is actually pretty scary. You may or may not have heard of the Amanda the Adventurer. It's essentially based off this small schoolgirl that has this friend called Wooly, and there's this whole crazy secret lore about it. You can watch some more videos on it about YouTube. You can watch some more videos on it on YouTube. But let's actually spawn Amanda the Adventurer in. You can all see that this is truly scary. It's kind of like a humanoid, bipedal sort of scary creature. The walk cycle is absolutely terrifying. With every step, there's a huge roar, and it's honestly truly scary. Now, if we look at the face, you can also see that her teeth are really sharp and jagged, and that she has these very long Enderman shaped arms, which are truly scary because of all the blood on the legs and on the hand. What's even scarier is that she's completely hunched over in a very strange position, and it's a completely mutated version of her. Now, unfortunately, Amanda the Adventurer doesn't really attack iron golems. In fact, she just attacks only you if you're the one in survival, but trust me when I say this mob is surely gonna scare you, or maybe even scare your friends if that's what you want. So now that I'm in survival, you're gonna all see exactly how much damage she does. Now, of course, for a precaution, I did decide to take an enchanted diamond apple, because if I didn't, I would honestly seriously die. So let's see how much damage this crazy creature does, and let's make sure to light up this area because this is truly a scary mob. Well, you can all see there that I just simply died in one swell swoop. That's not the kind of mob you ever want to fight because you don't even stand a chance even if you have armor. It's just a one-hit kill. Honestly, for me, this mob gets a 10 out of 10 because it is super scary, super tall, and honestly, the damage on this thing is just insane. It one-hits you at any simple range. So just make sure you get your distance from this and you'll be completely fine. So next we have a more scary mod, and honestly guys, like seriously, this mod is definitely one of the scariest mods I've ever seen in Minecraft, and credit to the creator Yurie Gazo for creating this because honestly, I've genuinely had some sleepless nights from doing this. So when you open the Roblox stores mod, you're going to be presented with a mountain of different options that you can see right here. If you go into spawn, you can see that there are many different mobs that you can spawn. Pretty much all of the mobs in this underground area are different Roblox stores mods, and I'm going to go through every single one. Now, one of the first mobs that we have right here that you can see is Screech. Now, Screech is super scary because of his weird floating device, and of course you can see the spirals that he does. I gotta be honest, this mod actually looks very smooth, but at the same time it looks really truly scary. If I spawn an island golem in, you can immediately see that Screech just simply disappears. I'm not exactly sure why this happens, but it's definitely very interesting because you'll see just how crazy some other mobs are. So next we have Timothy the spider, and you can all see that this is a very small spider that the iron golem has pretty much no problem destroying. Definitely not something that's too strong. Next we have Window, which is of course a mob that is very hard to see. As you can all see, it just has a simple face, but of course the iron golem pretty much destroys it pretty quick. Now, I gotta be honest, some of these mobs in survival are actually very scary, so be careful when spawning these in survival, because remember, I am in creative mode. Next, we have El Goblino, which is a recently released mob from the Roblox game, and you can all see that this character does look pretty chill, but trust me, he's actually quite dangerous. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, I will go into survival mode, but not just yet because I don't want to die. You can see that the iron golem pretty much has no problem dealing with El Goblino, but just remember, in survival, it's a whole nother story, because he will be coming after you. Next, we have A60, which is a very scary and very confusing 2D mob. It's quite the scary creature, and I gotta be honest, it's actually pretty strong. You can see it right here demolishing these iron golems. So if there's one mob that you need to avoid, it's A60. Then we have the mob Skull Door. As you can all see, it's simply a kind of door / mob, which is actually very scary. When I spawn in the iron golem, you can all see that the iron golem doesn't even recognize this. I'm pretty sure this feature was just added as some kind of decoration, but of course, once again, this old mob is still destroying the iron golem. Now, another mob that we have is Seek. Now, Seek, as you can all see, is absolutely terrifying when it comes to the looks department. And when I spawn in an iron golem, he immediately attacks him and makes some crazy noises. If I'm being honest with you, I wouldn't like to hear those noises ever at night. Next, we have Seek, and of course, as you guys can see, Seek is probably one of the most detailed mobs in this mob. He actually does really well in terms of the animations, and actually actively attacks iron golems, as you can all see right here. He definitely does something pretty crazy, which I do want to show you because that animation didn't work quite well. So if you spawn an iron golem like this, and then you spawn Seek right next to him, what he'll do is absolutely insane, and you're about to witness it. It's definitely pretty crazy, but at the same time, just goes to show you, never go near this mob, because he will simply take you and drag you into the sky. The next mob we have is Shadow. Now, Shadow is actually one of those scary mobs that is actually pretty scary, in the sense that he looks invisible. You can actually see through this mob, and I'm not sure there's any Minecraft mob that actually allows that. If I spawn in an iron golem, you can see that he immediately attacks him, but one hit die. Now, Rush is of course one of the more scarier mobs because he does have all of this stuff around him, which just goes to show his big area of effect. Now, if I spawn in an Iron Golem, you can see that he immediately attacks him, but of course, once again, the damage is too much. This mob is simply just way too strong. Another mob that we have is Jeff, as you can all see. Now, remember, I'm pretty sure that Jeff actually had a shop of some kind, and when I spawn in the Iron Golem, he actually doesn't really get attacked because, of course, Jeff wasn't really a hostile mob. Now, I can't say the same for Glitch because Glitch is, of course, one of the scariest mobs ever, and of course, once he attacks the Iron Golem is simply disappeared with a glitch to be found. Without a trace, but simply a few glitches, which is truly scary. And honestly, I probably should go in survival, but I wouldn't even want to know what happens if one of these mobs takes me to their crazy dimension. One of the next mobs that we all know, and one that I personally do love, is Figure, and he's right here. And when spawning him in, as you guys can see in this version 3 of the mob, he's actually quite tall. Around 4 to 5 blocks tall, which just means that he absolutely towers over you when playing the game. Fighting him as an Iron Golem definitely means that he doesn't really want any of that attention. And so we can move on to the mob Depth, as you guys can all see right here. Immediately simply attacks the Iron Golem, and after not long, he simply absolutely dies. We do also have the mob Jack that you can all see right there, a 2D mob which is truly scary. If I spawn in the Iron Golem, you can see that they actually do fight each other, and Jack is definitely quite angry. I would say it's a fair battle, but as you guys can see right there, they don't really deal significant damage to each other and pretty much fight it out to the death. Now, Halt is another mob that you can actually all see right here, which definitely looks like some kind of Pixar Pac-Man, but absolutely decimates an Iron Golem, and it's definitely one you should stay away from. Now, Greed is another scary 2D mob, which actually does decimate some of the mobs in the game that you can all see. And Iron Golems honestly don't stand a chance. Now, Eyes is one of the older mobs, another 2D one, which is of course very scary. And the same thing goes for dupes, because these mobs are truly scary. Now, when I spawn in an Iron Golem, well, I was meant to spawn in an Iron Golem, but this is of course Ambush, one of the scariest mobs in the game with a lot of movement speed. You can see exactly what happens. These mobs are absolutely decimating the Iron Golem with a lot of damage. For some reason, there is a mob in the trio that simply has some area of effect damage. So let's take a look at Ambush. As you can all see, he actually deals quite a bit of damage, and when I spawn in the Iron Golem, he immediately tries to attack him, dealing a very significant amount of damage, killing it in just 2 hits. So this is my attempt at fighting Ambush, because from the moment I go in survival, he's coming straight for me. Now, luckily for me, I did actually have the golden apples nearby to not die straight away, but I gotta be honest, fighting 2 of these doors mobs at the same time is definitely not something you want to do. Trust me when I say I'm honestly rather going to leave the world rather than fight these 2 dangerous mobs, because they are ridiculously strong, like ridiculously strong. So let's take a look at the Puss in Boots mod. You're first going to be presented with a couple of spawn eggs. You can see right here that it says spawn mummy bear, spawn bear son, spawn soft kitty paws, spawn burrito, spawn father bear, and spawn death. Now, all of these spawn eggs do actually work, but there's actually some really cool secrets that I need to show you. So you can see that the mother bear just simply looks like a panda bear with a brown texture, which is still really cool. The bear son, once again, just looks like another Arctic panda bear with another texture that also looks really cool. But this is where things start to get interesting. If you take a look at some of the other mobs like Burrito, you can see that these guys are pretty detailed. Now, let's take a look at this Burrito mob, because there's actually some really cool stuff that you can do with this cool mob. Now, he doesn't really look at you and his eyes are a little bit weird, but you can actually do some really cool stuff with this mob if you're actually playing with him. So if you go into your inventory and grab some of the bones, you'll quickly realize that Burrito actually starts to follow you around. That's because you can actually tame Burrito with some of these bones. So if I actually grab some of these bones that are located in my inventory, and then let's say I go up to Burrito, the nice little cat, and I give him some of these bones, you can see that I'm actually going to be able to tame him. Now, once he's tamed, you can see that he actually does become quite active and now moves around. So as I move around in my world, Burrito will naturally actually follow me. If I go ahead and go into survival mode, you can see that these skeletons are attacking me. Now, once these skeletons are attacking me, you can see that unfortunately, Burrito doesn't actually help me out anyway whatsoever. And I know that's not his main focus, but it still is pretty cool that this guy is in the game. So now we can get onto one of the more interesting characters, Death. So Death is simply here located as spawn W Death, and if you just simply spawn him in, this is what you'll see. Immediately, you guys can see that he just blasts me away. It's actually pretty crazy. Now, the crazy thing about Death is that he's actually based on an Enderman, so he'll frequently teleport from place to place, which means he actually is very powerful and frequently does this random burst of energy that blasts you back. Like, yeah, that was really annoying. He's also based off an Enderman, so he can actually teleport, as we saw him do multiple times in the films, so it's best to be careful to see exactly where he goes. There are also some really cool secret tips and tricks that are actually in this secret mod that you won't realize unless you've actually looked at the special code. When you're looking at the mod, you actually won't see Puss in Boots as a spawn egg because it's not actually there. What you'll need to do is get a crafting table, place down the crafting table, open it up, then get yourself some leather boots, just like this, then get yourself a green music disc and place it in there, and then once you have this in the correct order, you'll see this strange item which says transform to PIB. Once you have this strange item which says transform to PIB, you're now going to be able to transform to Puss in Boots. All you want to do is simply right click and boom, just like that, you're now Puss in Boots. Now, I gotta be honest, credit to the mod creator for this, because this isn't just your average transformation. It's actually really cool. I mean, just look at this jump animation. It's actually really cool. You can actually spin, jump, and do many different crazy things. It gives you some really fast walk speed and move speed, and if you jump, you do different kinds of flips. Sometimes you'll do a side flip, and other times you'll do a front flip like this. Now, something else that's really cool as well is a secret item that Puss in Boots actually has. If you go into his inventory and then you type in sword, you'll see that there's one that is actually very different. As you can see, it says PIB sword. Once you equip this sword, you'll then see it like this, and as you can see right there, it's really cool. The first time you do equip it, he does actually do a small animation, which I did miss, but as you can see, the sword is definitely very different and very unique compared to Minecraft's other swords. In fact, if you equip any of other Minecraft's other swords, you can see that they look very strange. So just make sure to equip this special sword and you can see exactly how it does. Now, once you're actually Puss in Boots, you can actually then spawn in the death and actually fight. If I go ahead and spawn in death, as you guys can see, he just did the Enderman glitch, and I changed my game mode to survival, you can see that this death actually starts attacking me. Now, he definitely does do a lot of damage, but understand that as Puss in Boots, you're pretty much invulnerable to his attacks. Now, I do say that with a caveat because, of course, this is actually death, and he is actually really powerful and really dangerous, so just make sure you're still jumping to absolutely avoid him. I found that the best method is running in for an attack and then running away, because you do have some of the best mobility that I've seen in the game, and your health regen is pretty quick. And as you guys can see, I quickly disposed of him. Another unique feature that you can actually do is you can actually emote. If you go into the creative menu and find this emote equipment and equip it as your Puss in Boots, you click the button and you simply do this amazing cute little emotion. Just make sure to right click and he actually pulls his hat off and does this really cute emotion. Now, if you actually want to play as Death yourself, you're just going to simply put a bone in the middle, then put a nether plate chest in the middle, then put an axe on the side, and then another netherite axe on the other side. Once you've done that, you're going to be able to see this item which says transform to death. Just get that simple item and then equip it. Then what you're going to want to do is, once again, simply right click. Boom, just like that. You can see we are now Death. Now, Death is quite like Puss in Boots, but with a bit more abilities and capabilities. As you can all see, once you actually transform to him, he has a very large inventory of crazy weapons. He has these 2 sickles that you can see right there. Once equipped, they do this very cool spinning animation, and they do quite a lot of damage. So definitely make sure you avoid if someone on your server is actually using this. Essentially, these sickles are actually some kind of small projectiles with a very small radius. So you don't actually need to be that close. You can actually hit things from very far away. You also actually get some very insane movement speed, which allows you to run and jump very quick. There's also an item which actually does give you the ability to teleport. All you need to do is simply right click and you will see that you're about to teleport just like an Enderman. And you can't use it too much, but when you do use it, you'll just be teleported around just like this. Definitely a very fun mod. Now, another scary mob that is truly just scary, and honestly guys, I wish I included this at the start, but this one is absolutely terrifying, is of course the Herobrine mod. Now, this mod is really cool because it actually just doesn't include Herobrine. It includes some random weird structures, like this crazy parkour course, which is involving minecarts. Now, according to the mod creator, this is allegedly called a cursed minecart, or a cursed roller coaster. Now, of course, it actually does work, and it is pretty cool, but at the same time, there are many more structures in this random mod that you might find that are essentially cursed, and Herobrine is likely to be near. For example, like this random house, which is actually a burning house. You'll see it in many different biomes, and it simply spawns in with fire on it. Once you go inside, you'll see that it actually does have a chest, and of course, it actually has a very scary face. You can see that this actually resembles a smiley face, and the house is simply on fire. I would definitely never stay a night here. You can see that there's also another burning house right here. There's also this cursed throne which spawns in, which is definitely kind of cool, but at the same time, it's really creepy, because by the looks of things, the only person that's supposed to be on this throne is actually Herobrine. So now let's actually look what's inside this actual mod by checking out some of the spawn items. So of course, the one thing you do want to spawn in is Herobrine, and you can see right there, Herobrine actually does have a huge boss bar, and for some reason, it actually always makes me spawn into mobs. That's something I apologize for. But you can see that once Herobrine has spawned in, he simply starts roaming the world and starts looking around. He also has a boss bar and has the ability to teleport to anywhere he simply wants to. So I think if you're going to be actually trying to beat Herobrine, there's simply no way to do it with this mod, because he can teleport to where you are, and that's a huge health bar. What's even crazier about Herobrine on this mod is that he is not the only one in this mod. You can see that there's also a cursed sheep, a cursed cow, and of course a cursed pig. Taking a look at the cursed sheep, we can see that it is pretty crazy in its looks. I mean, half of it is cut out and half of it is not there, which is just truly weird. We also have a cursed pig, which is of course, you guys can see, has the very distinctive Herobrine eyes, which are truly scary. And my god, this thing can simply move as quick as possible, which is truly kind of scary if you think about it. Now, last but not least, we do have a cursed cow, which is very hard to see because of its eyes, but it is much more different to the other cow. Now, this one actually has different eyes that you can all see, which is truly scary, but it is truly weird. One of the last mobs in the Herobrine mod that you can actually see, this Herobrine add-on, is going to be the Cursed Farmer. So the Cursed Farmer, as you guys can see there, is simply a kind of player which actually farms or is founding. So the farmer is actually pretty cursed because, as you guys can all see, he simply follows you around and looks pretty weird. What's even scarier is that his eyes are completely white and his hands are completely bloodied, which truly makes for a terrifying individual. So if I decided to spawn the entire Herobrine family in and try to fight them, this is what happens. So you can all see that these mobs simply straight up attack you as you're standing there. the farmer one being the most active one, and simply downs me. Now, what's also crazy is that, of course, this pig, which is right here, is simply attacking me too. Pretty much every mob is attacking me, and some of these mobs have unique effects, meaning that when you get attacked, you actually get blinded, which means that you can't see anything near you, which isn't good for your visibility, especially at night. So definitely something that is truly dangerous. The only thing good about this, though, is that these mobs aren't that strong, and I can kill them with a few hits. Now, here's something I probably should have shown you. This is a very secret version of Herobrine. If you go into the spawn tab, you can see that there's a Nightmare Herobrine. Now, this version of Herobrine is not like your regular Herobrine because there are two major differences in the spawn eggs. One is slightly black and one is slightly red. The one that's slightly black is truly terrifying, and I'm about to show you guys exactly why. This is Nightmare Herobrine. Much more dangerous, much more devastating, and much more scary. From going into survival mode, Nightmare Herobrine simply attacks me as quick as possible, and of course does a fair amount of damage. Now, luckily for me, using the netherite sword, I can actually attack him quite back and deal some of that damage back myself. Now, if you're wondering how I managed to stay alive for so long, it's because I actually do have full netherite armor, and of course, I'm eating a enchanted golden apple at the same time. Definitely one of these scarier mobs, but at the same time, actually really cool because of the effect that it has on it. I wasn't sure if it was blood or mud, but either way, definitely a super scary mob. So now let's take a look at another mob that you are most likely going to be familiar with. This one isn't exactly new, but trust me, just like the Minecraft spider, it is definitely very, very scary. So this is of course the Mummy Longlegs mod. Namely, also known as the Poppy Playtime mod. Now, if you're not familiar with Poppy Playtime, it's basically a horror game in which blue characters, pink characters, and many other colored characters chase you through some sort of factory. The reason I say this mod is so scary is because honestly, this creature just simply goes from standing up to being on all fours in a very, very creepy way. Now, I should probably show you exactly what happens when I go into survival mode because honestly, it's actually pretty insane. So let's take a look at what happens when I'm in survival mode. Mummy Longlegs should and probably will start to attack me. Now, I think she might be stuck in the wall, so that's a good thing. Let me just spawn one right here and let's see exactly what she does. I think she is trying to kill me, and of course you can all see right there, I simply died in one fell swoop. A simply one-hit kill, if you will. Now, this mod wouldn't be complete without the obviously main character. Now, the main character is, of course, Huggy Wuggy, and he is by far one of the most dangerous and one of the most scary mobs in Minecraft to exist. The reason this mob is so scary is because, honestly, at nighttime, if this mob even sees a glimpse of you, it opens its mouth, in which you're likely to see some super sharp teeth just like that, and it's going to chase you all the way down to wherever you are, and you're not going to be able to escape. This is one mod that if you are playing with your friends, maybe it's going to be pretty useful to scare them, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what happens when you have full items and this mob is chasing you. So I decided to go into survival because I wanted to show you all exactly what this mob does, and I wanted to see if it would chase me, and for some reason it isn't doing that. I think maybe it might be stuck. And there are many different versions of this mob that people have made, but this one by Yurie Gazo is definitely quite scary because this mob is truly terrifying. I think maybe I did actually make some changes to the mod because I do remember it chasing me in many other different versions a lot faster, but nonetheless this is a very scary mod. Trust me when I say that. Now, I gotta be honest, this mob is actually really strong because it does really hold up well against the Iron Golem, as in it completely decimates him. But if you're familiar with the Huggy Wuggy series, there's plenty of other mobs that you can spawn in, like Kissy Missy, which is essentially just the sister of Huggy Wuggy. Then of course we have the Purple Caterpillar, also known as PJ Puggerpillar, right there. In fact, that is not PJ Puggerpillar. That's actually a very different character, but you can all see that these mobs are extremely hostile. We also have Candy Cat, and we also have Bron the Dinosaur, which is also really cool. So with many different scary mobs from the scary horror franchise, there are many different scary mobs in this mod. Now, another mod that is super scary is, of course, one that you probably have heard of before. So this mod that I'm about to mention is one that is definitely very interesting. You may or may not have heard of Jumbo Josh. Now, I'm not sure why it spawned 2 in just there, or in fact 3, but this mod is super duper scary. You can all see that Jumbo Josh is based off the creature that is in the game Garden of Banban. Jumbo Josh is a humanoid, tall, lime green creature, which features 2 big arms, which it uses to pulverize its enemies. Honestly, this creature actually chases you around, and it simply roams around looking for players in Minecraft. It truly is definitely scary. To show you just how strong this mob is, if I spawn in this Iron Golem, you're about to see Jumbo Josh absolutely demolish it. And that was just one Iron Golem. Imagine what he's like to a player. Now, in the mod, you also have a very scary bird, which is known as the Apilla bird. Now, the Apilla bird is definitely also quite scary because this is a very tall and very scary bird that simply attacks anything in its sight. As you can all see, the Apilla bird simply attacked and destroyed all 3 of those villagers and pillagers within a second. A small detail that you might notice about the Apilla bird is that its eyes aren't actually white. They're simply red, which just goes to show the amount of rage going through the creature. Truly a scary mob, and as you can all see right there, the Apilla bird simply destroys the Iron Golem in one fell swoop. Now, from the mod, we also have some of the other favorites, like Banban himself, which is of course the actual guy of the game. And of course, as you can all see, Banban simply destroys the Iron Golem with a simple one-tap technique. But what makes this mob so scary is that it is like 5 blocks tall, and it simply runs towards you and kills you in one hit. Definitely not something I'd want to see at night, especially in Minecraft. We also have Captain Fiddles, which is a little less scary because of the color and the smile on his face. but also as equally as dangerous. Just trust me, this is something that you're not going to want to deal with because of course he can pull you up into the sky and drop you and destroy you. Next, we also have Stinger Flynn, which is a very scary mob indeed because this one is very much like the others, but is actually much faster and much scarier because this mob just has one scary eye. And trust me, you're about to see what it's about to do to this iron golem. Just take a look at this crazy thing. One hit without any major damage. And last but not least, we have Banbalina, and this is basically the girl version of Banban and also deals quite a bit of damage even if you're an iron golem. So these mobs are some of the scariest mobs that you can have in Minecraft. And trust me when I say there's many more to come because scary mobs are not hard to come by.